life at the Brown house was pretty normal and pretty blessed. However, since then, we were heartbroken when our 7-year-old suddenly developed a vocal tic disorder. So far, he hasn't developed the physical symptoms that usually accompany Tourette's, but this will change with time. Even though I'm an educator with experience as a public school teacher and as an adjunct professor in higher education, I was blind to my son's symptoms. It was actually the school nurse who woke me up to the reality of our son's disability, and I am forever grateful to Mrs. Rosenberger for her support of our family as we addressed his needs. Since my son's initial diagnosis, we've been to several neurologists, and I'm pleased to report that with medication, his vocal tics, which initially express themselves as often as 100 times a minute, are nearly gone. My biggest fear was that my son would be made fun of by his classmates or discriminated by well-meaning adults. In reality, he has done so well on the medication that I believe his teachers this year didn't quite understand or even believe that his 504 was warranted. That is until they returned 3 weeks in October. During those 3 weeks, he went from being a straight-A student in all the top reading, writing, and math grades to a C+ average. Fortunately, we were able to manage his medication, and he's back to his normal self for now. His grades have bounced back, and he maintains his position in the highest reading, writing, and math groups. However, his pediatrician has made it clear to me that with the anxiety that accompanies this disorder, the upcoming park, in all likelihood, he will have another outburst, and that the likelihood that it would happen during the test is very high. As a result, she has drafted a letter in support of alternate assessments, and I will be presenting this to his 504 team next week so that we can opt him out of the park. I'm cautiously optimistic that my pediatrician's recommendation will be respected, but I really don't know what to expect. I'm afraid, like many other parents, that the October 30th, 2014 letter from the Commissioner of Education will be waved in my face like it has been by so many other superintendents in New Jersey, justifying that all students take the park. In my opinion, this letter is misleading with inaccuracies of data and omissions of data. Great emphasis was made regarding No Child Left Behind, AYP, and the potential loss of federal funding to districts with less than 95% compliance on this year's park. This is misleading, particularly because the Commissioner fails to acknowledge the fact that New Jersey is no longer subject to No Child Left Behind as of 2012. Furthermore, no school or district anywhere in the country has ever been penalized for failing to test enough 95% of its students. In fact, New Jersey is one of 41 states, plus D.C. and Puerto Rico, which have waivers from the U.S. Department of Education that have eliminated the sanctions imposed on most schools that fail to take AYP. The basic message is that in waiver states, a school not in or close to the bottom 5% has likely nothing to fear from a boycott. More importantly, while it's true Pearson's Park does have an optional diagnostic component, the majority of schools in New Jersey are not using the available piece in the annual park assessment, which means that the test is not diagnostic. Therefore, these scores have little value except for teacher evaluation, which is questionable even in and of itself, because value-added measures have consistently been found to be unreliable. Keeping in mind that the diagnostic value of the park has been a big justification for such an expensive experiment, I was dumbfounded when I came across a recording of the Assistant Commissioner of Education contradicting the Commissioner's letter. And while you can certainly read the full transcript, I actually brought it so that you can see I'm not making this up.
The word diagnostic here is also very important. As Dean sort of spoke to earlier, right? These are not intended to be the kind of through course, what we've been talking about here, mark end-of-year course assessments, are not intended to be sort of the through course diagnostic formative assessments, benchmark assessments that most of us are used to. That we diagnose and be able to inform instruction for the middle of the year. These are in fact summative test scores that have a different purpose than the one that we're talking about here in terms of diagnosis.
Okay. So they're not diagnostic at the individual level, and so it's going to be difficult for teachers to look at these scores, especially when they get them back in September and October from kids who are no longer in their class.
So this contradicts the letter that was sent. So I will wrap up. Basically, the bottom line is this letter, I think, was inaccurate. It left out important information. Parents are being told that they must take the test. The children must take the test. The schools and the administrators may have to administer it, but the children do not have to take the test. we still legally have rights as parents to refuse the test, especially when it's in the best interest of our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.